What if I told you that trillions of dollars live in places that technically don't exist? Hidden behind P.O. boxes in tropical paradises, the world's wealthiest stash their fortunes offshore, far from the prying eyes of tax collectors and the public. Today, we're pulling back the curtain and uncovering their playbook. So, what exactly is a tax haven? It's not just about sandy beaches and palm trees. A tax haven is a country or jurisdiction that offers incredibly low, or even zero, tax rates. But that's not all. They also promised strict banking secrecy and have very relaxed regulations. This combination creates a powerful magnet for money. How much money are we talking about? Analysts estimate that nearly $4 trillion of US private wealth alone is parked offshore, and about half of that, a staggering $2 trillion, is sitting in jurisdictions considered to be tax havens. It's a parallel financial universe operating under its own set of rules. Let us take a trip to some of the most popular destinations in this universe: the Bahamas, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. These aren't just vacation spots. They're global financial hubs. Why do the rich flock here? It's simple: zero income tax, zero corporate tax, and often zero capital gains tax. On top of that, they have ironclad privacy laws, a stable political environment, and no exchange controls, meaning you can move huge sums of money in and out with ease. So, how does it actually work? You don't just show up with a suitcase full of cash. The key is anonymity, achieved through something called a shell company. An individual, let's call him Mr. Smith, doesn't want his billion-dollar art collection or his mega yacht tied to his name. So, he hires a local agent in a place like the Cayman Islands to create a company for him. This company might have a generic name like Global Holdings Limited, but it has no employees, no office, nothing. It's just a shell. All of Mr. Smith's assets are then legally owned by this shell company, not by him directly. Thanks to strict secrecy laws, it's almost impossible for anyone to find out who the true owner is. Let me put it another way. Imagine you build a successful tech startup and sell it for a cool $10 million. In most countries, you'd immediately owe a hefty chunk of that, maybe 30% or $3 million in taxes. But what if, before the sale, you had registered a shell company in the Cayman Islands and transferred ownership of your startup to it? The $10 million from the sale would go directly to your Cayman company, and the tax bill, a big, fat zero. That's the power of the offshore system. Now, who is actually using these havens? You might picture shadowy billionaires in smoke-filled rooms, and you wouldn't be entirely wrong. But it's a much broader group than you might think. We're talking about multinational corporations looking to legally slash their tax bills, high-profile politicians, famous celebrities, and yes, sometimes even criminals trying to launder money. This brings us to a huge moral debate. On one side, proponents argue that tax havens are essential for asset protection. If you live in a politically unstable country, stashing your wealth offshore might be the only way to protect it from being seized by a corrupt government. They see it as a form of financial self-defense. On the other side, critics argue that this system is fundamentally unfair. They say it allows the ultra-wealthy and powerful corporations to avoid paying their fair share of taxes, which shifts the burden onto ordinary citizens like you and me. It starves public services like schools, hospitals, and infrastructure of much-needed funds. It also creates a veil of secrecy that can hide corruption and illegal activities. So, let me ask you, what would you do if you discovered your favorite brand, the one you buy from every week, was using these schemes to avoid taxes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For decades, This offshore world operated in the shadows. But, in recent years, the curtain has been ripped open. You've probably heard of massive data leaks, like the Panama Papers and the Paradise Papers. These leaks exposed the secret financial dealings of thousands of wealthy individuals and public officials, sending shockwaves around the globe. Suddenly, the anonymous owners of those shell companies had their names splashed across front-page news. In response, governments have launched a global push for more transparency. International agreements, like the OECD's Common Reporting Standard, have been put in place. The idea is to get countries, including many former tax havens, to automatically share financial information with each other. If you open a bank account in Switzerland, for example, the Swiss bank is now required to report that information back to your home country's tax authority. The era of absolute banking secrecy is slowly coming to an end. However, enforcement is still patchy, and many loopholes still exist. For every door that closes, a new window seems to open. So, where does that leave us? The world of offshore finance is a complex web of legality, morality, and power. Using a tax haven isn't necessarily illegal, but it starkly highlights the gap between the rules for the super-rich and the rules for everyone else. It's a system designed by those who can afford the best lawyers and accountants to play by a different set of rules. It forces us to ask tough questions about fairness and what kind of society we want to live in. While we've shed some light on this hidden world today, there are always more secrets to uncover. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Tomorrow, we're venturing into another hidden world, lab accidents, and the shocking cover-ups that followed. You won't want to miss it. And if you're hungry for more, check out our Secrets and Crimes playlist right here. I'd love to hear your final thoughts on offshore finance in the comments. See you next time.